Hey everyone, how is everyone doing today? I wanted to come in and share this Facebook Live as there is a beautiful shift that's occurring out there, which is bringing up a term that I like to call a spiritual fine tuning. Now, a lot of people will probably have heard the term before, being shared as getting downloads. And regardless whether you call it fine tuning or downloading, the process is exactly the same. So I wanted to come in and just share a little bit about, hey David, hey Rebecca, how is everyone today? So I just wanted to come in and just share a little bit. I'm just going to quickly share this across to my page, about some of the things that are occurring energetically and the things that we can do. Yeah, cool. Rebecca's just written, morning lovely, ringing in my ears. And that is exactly why I wanted to come in and have this conversation. A lot of these symptoms, which I'm going to go through in a moment, are occurring for everyone. Now, most people will think you have to be this like real spiritual person to be able to get these symptoms, but we are all spiritual beings. We all have intuitive skills, whether you call it intuition, call it psychic, whether you call it a gut or a hunch. We all have these same skills that create physiological changes within our body. Now, when it needs to fine tune it, we will find that we get certain symptoms that come across to our, that occur to us. So, sorry, I am just, I'm just sharing that. So, as I was saying, so when these things show up, these physiological symptoms, sometimes we can really dismiss them or forget that what they actually mean, or move into a space where we get really, really harsh on ourselves. Because some of the symptoms can leave us feeling like, some of them are about feeling like you get a pressure headache right in the middle of your forehead, and it's almost feels like a pressure where it feels like it penetrates through from the front of your forehead here all the way to the back of your head, and it can make you feel as if your head feels too heavy to sit on your on your head, on your neck and shoulders. And yes, I do laugh about this because I think it's really honest to be really raw about, you know, these are some of the symptoms that show up for us. You know, when we have these symptoms, and some of them are feeling like your eyes are really dry and they're real blurry, and it's hard to be able to focus on anything. Light sensitivity, I'm finding my own self at the moment, just the light reflection coming off my computer is really strong for my eyes. So I've been as much as possible, either turning down the brightness on my computer, and at night time turning all the lights off, which I do anyway, and lighting candles. Hey Tracy, hey Frederick, hey Salvatore, hey Letitia. Some of the other symptoms that can show up is skin sensitivity, as in being quite particular about the types of fabric that you have on your skin and wanting more looser type clothing against your skin. Having ringing in your ears, like Rebecca mentioned a moment ago, and that also causes a sensitivity to sound. Also exhaustion, like where you can't explain why you feel exhausted, but you feel like you need to have multiple cat naps, and that's only if you have the opportunity, and to get through the day is so arduous because it really is consuming so much energy just to get through the day. You can even notice some food cravings turn up, like a craving for sugar, and that's because your energy is really low, and or having salty cravings. The salt cravings are usually due to a lack of water. So these are some of the things that shows up. Hey Tracy, how are you, love? Some of these symptoms show up as to let us know that we are going through what is known as the Ascension process, which means that you're having what they would call a spiritual awakening, where you're going through this natural evolutionary process, which involves the process of shedding away the old and almost having an experience of like an inner birth. It doesn't feel like that as these symptoms show up, but this is actually what is internally going on within you. And the reason I wanted to come in and share with this is because sometimes we get really, really harsh on ourselves, and we try and push ourselves more, and we try and do more, or we get upset, and that internal conflict that internal conversation that we have with ourselves, we get into this real tirade of, you know, if you're exhausted, like, why am I exhausted? I should be feeling better. And that creates an emotional charge, and we move into that space of reaction response. And when you can get into that emotional charge, it only takes something little to happen and you feel like you're just about ready to rip someone's head off. And it doesn't take much to do that, because it's an explosive emotional charge, and that is a very big symptoms of exhaustion. Needed a nana nap yesterday. Totally feel you on that, Tracy, and I'm so pleased that you actually gave yourself permission to actually go and take the nap, which is the biggest thing, is that when we have these symptoms show up, if we don't understand what's actually going on, we can move into that real harsh connotation within our own self and those harsh expectations and be really demanding of ourselves. Whereas when we understand what is occurring, we can take a completely different approach, where we move into a space of, because when we understand what's going on, then we gain a whole level of different perception around, well, okay, obviously with all of these symptoms that are showing up, there's a lot of internal stuff that's going on within you. And just because it's internal, sometimes we underestimate how much energy is being consumed to basically go in and restructure yourselves, because that's exactly what's happening. All your cells are restructuring, so it's very, very time consuming, and our human part of our brain wants to go, come on, get your shit together, let's get on with it. And that's not what is needed at this time. What is needed at this time is a level of understanding, being patient, being kind with yourself, and knowing that this is just a short-term process, and that the more, it's like that saying, the more we resist, the more it persists. And that's really is the significance of taking that rest, because the more you, like if you broke your leg, you would sit down and you would give yourself complete permission to be able to rest and let your body heal, right? Because it's something you can see, it's something other people can see. So we give ourselves permission and we have a justification for it. Now, when so much work is going on internal, because it's not visibly seen, we don't give ourselves that same patience or that same level of understanding to know that there is so much healing going on within your own cellular structure. And so therefore, we connect back into that human part of push, force, and make shit happen. And all that does is completely depletes what little bit of energy you have left, and then you end up being wrecked. I find if I ignore it, comes back worse ever next time. Yeah, definitely. That's why I say what we resist persists, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing, Rebecca. Oh my God, yes, the headache, the brain fog, the cravings, the exhaustion, the blurry is not so much of the ringing in the ears, but all of one stuff. And I hate not feeling grounded and present and unable to access my brain. That is, and I am so grateful for you for sharing that, Sarah, because this is what's happening for, is it worth jumping on another chat, Rachel? Yeah, we can definitely jump on another chat, love. No problems at all. The link is in my, in the header of this. So go in and jump in and book a session. But also too, because you're a student, you are more than welcome to, I'll message you. Okay, love. But what we need to be able to do, because I mean, there's no point sitting here and talking about all the symptoms, because then all we do is go, yeah, this is really cool. You're probably all sitting there going, well, what the freaking hell do I do with this? So it's really important to understand if you are experiencing food cravings, you are actually really dehydrated. Remembering that there is so much going on in a cellular structure, your body needs, we are made up of over 80% a body of water. Our body is consuming so much fluid to be able to cleanse and purify and replenish the cells so that it can regenerate and rebirth. So we need to make sure that we are drinking water. Now, I want to express this very, very clearly. This is not a matter of drinking hot water or cold water from the tap or from the fridge. It is super important that you are drinking water that is at a nice warm room temperature, because then that way your body can naturally absorb it so much more quicker, and that also helps flush away all of the toxins that your body is trying to get rid of at the same time. So for myself, in my bottle, my handy dandy bottle, which I carry everywhere, I will fill up like this much water from my filter, which is on the bench. So I've filtered water to about, you know, not quite 3/4, and then I'll just fill up boiling water out of the jug, and I'll just like move it all around, and then I drink it. I find it, one, it's so much easier for me to be able to consume because it's actually turned really cold here, and my body absorbs it so much more quicker, and the cravings go away. So water is imperative at this time. The other things that it's really important to do is to be able to take that rest. If you get 10 minutes, like everyone has a lunchtime, even if you just go and shut your eyes, just close your eyes off, especially if you're someone that's experiencing blurry eyes or light sensitivity, even just sitting there and putting your hands across this like that, across your eyes, actually shuts off the light, and your own hands become a very gentle, nurturing way to be able to bring your own healing back into your eyes. The pressure, I would have to say, the pressure in your forehead, 9 times out of 10, some people will either try and take Nurofen and stuff like that to be able to make the headache go away. And I usually find that it only just subdues it. It doesn't actually make it go away. So being patient, putting wheat bags there, either put wheat bags, or if you feel you want to, be able to put a really cold compress there. Whatever you feel is that seems to bring about a relief there. The ringing in your ears is learning to just adjust to that. The ringing in the ears is because it's adjusting the frequency of your intuitive or audio intuitive skill. So you are going to get pressure in your ear. Again, you can put a cold compress on it, or you can put heat on there. Also, just gently rubbing down the side of your neck also helps, because what happens is the physical body, when we start getting some of these symptoms, it goes into a self-defense mode. So our muscles become really, really tight. So by gently just massaging it, those areas also brings about great relief. Massage in itself, if you feel that you are able to allow someone else to touch you, especially if you have a sensitivity for skin, is a really great way. And when I say go and have a massage, I would definitely suggest a more relaxing type of massage, because your body is already going through and doing so much internal work that if you go in there, and believe me, I'm a remedial deep tissue teacher and therapist myself. So it's hard if you are someone that's used to having some form of sports or deep tissue massage to then go and have something relaxing, but that is actually what your body actually needs at this time. My ears buzz rather than ring. Yeah, well, each person, that's great, Tracy. Thank you so much for sharing, because each person will experience it. Like for me, 1 minute it feels like it's ringing, the next minute it feels like there's just a pressure, almost like an ache going on in my ear. So it seems to change, but it's still in that audio area within your physical body. A really great thing is, because we do get exhausted, and we get frustrated. As humans, we get frustrated when we're exhausted. We don't like to have feeling like our energy is not at optimal level. It's important to just take 5 minutes out to just recalibrate your breath. Even if you just close your eyes and just breathe in and breathe out 5 times, what that's going to do is just going to help keep you calm, so that you're not staying in that emotionally charged state. Another thing is to be really be mindful of the type, if your skin sensitivity at this moment, then be mindful of the types of fabric that you put on your skin. You may find you want to wear looser clothing, or you want to grab that really soft, beautiful plush blanket and put it up around your neck and your face, because it's that gentleness that your body and that intuitive skill, that intuitive sense is actually needing at this point. And the last thing is just to always just check in and ask yourself, what do I need right now? It is the most simplest thing to do, but sometimes we overlook the simplicity of the things that we need to do. So by asking yourself, what is it I need to do? Or what is it that I can do to help myself through this process? And you will receive the guidance almost immediately. You may be told to just curl up on the lounge with a blanket and just watch TV, because just for the noise, but on low. You may be told to go and lay down in the bed and go and have a half an hour or a 2 hour sleep. You might be guided to go and have a massage. You may be guided to, eat more lighter foods, because another symptom that is quite present with this is, especially for women, is that we get a bloating in our stomach. Now, as I said, each person is going to experience some of these symptoms, all of these symptoms, or only just one or two. So it's not about how many we're having. I just try and cover as many as possible. The reason that we have that bloating is because our gut is actually classified as our second brain. It's also where we have our solar plexus chakra, which is where we store emotion. So if we're getting a bloating in our stomach, there's some unresolved emotions that are wanting to be addressed, and that is also coming through. So you'll find that as you go through this ascension process, or that spiritual fine-tuning, so I'll talk about those as two different things. The ascension process is about understanding that you're going through an evolutionary process. The fine-tuning is that we all have intuitive senses: sight, sound, feeling, knowing. Some people have smell, intuitive sense. Now, each one of those is going through what is classified, I like to call it fine-tuning, because I think when I hear the word downloading, I'm thinking, I feel down, I feel heavy, I feel dense. And I don't want to feel like that, because I also believe, and again, this is just my belief, each person can take away something very different, is that we're actually fine-tuning. Our body is letting go. It is recalibrating itself. It's representing that you're about to have this evolutionary growth where you have evolved, which means you've done work, and your body needs to fine-tune, and your senses need to fine-tune to elevate to that next evolution. So it's important to understand that when we're going through this, that each person will experience it differently, to be patient, to be kind, and to be able to understand that there is no set time frame. It's not like, okay, well, I'm going to sit down today and tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel amazing. You may have some of these symptoms and they may happen for a day or so, and then they may go away. Some of them you may find that you get one symptom and then all of a sudden another one appears. So just give yourself permission to understand that there is something much bigger that you may not be able to see right now, but it is occurring within your own physiological body. Because if you don't, and I do use this word quite strongly, if you don't take care of yourself through this process, you will end up with what they call the spiritual flu, where you have become so freaking exhausted that your body will go into a flu state, so you'll get the aches, the pains, sometimes you can even move into fevers, because your body, your soul is saying to you, just goddamn slow down, rest, let me take care of this, and then you can move on. But if you're going to resist this, this is super important, so I'm going to lay you out for a few days, in which case you have to just be patient and go with this process and let go. So if you've got to that level, means you have resisted the process. What is occurring on a soul and mental emotional level is you may notice that all of a sudden memories may pop up into your mind You may get a feeling of knowing, you can get a bit teary as well. That's quite a big symptom, is that teariness, because you know that just in a little while, something incredibly amazing is going to show up. You don't know why you know this, but you just know that. And the tears that you may be experiencing are not tears of sadness. They're tears of acknowledging you have done all this work. You are ready and you are willing to do what it needs to take yourself to that next level. So those tears are tears of joy. I totally agree. I know someone who's exactly like that. Blurry, achy, feels like she can't breathe. It's not nice to see. I'm doing some work with her to help her through it. Okay. Work with her exhaustion. I'm sure you have plenty. If you would like any suggestions, I will ask if you would like suggestions before I jump in and just immediately give them to you, Rebecca. But if you would like some suggestions on some of the things that you could work with her to move her outside of that spiritual flu, just leave a comment below, honey, and I'm more than happy to give some guidance on the things that I would work with, okay? So I want you to understand that if you have old memories, you have things that are jumping into your consciousness where you sort of feel like, why is this old memory coming up? And you will find that as an old memory comes up, because you are in this space where there's so much internal work going on, you will find that something that at one time used to create such an emotional charge for you and bring up so many painful things now no longer has that hold on you. That is the beautiful transformation. And in that moment, because you are going through this tuning up period, we completely surrender and there is no resistance and we let that go. But we're also being given the opportunity to know that something great is going to truly evolve. All we have to do is just give ourselves permission to shed the old, to create space. And the beauty of that goes to show you have evolved and grown. And this is the beautiful gift that comes from all of these symptoms. It is to remind you that you are doing amazing and to keep doing it. I'm a pretty calm person, but I know if I'm feeling getting free, it's time for me to do 5 to 10 deep breaths and then I'm back calm and aligned. Definitely like that. It's really easy to move into a reaction response when we get exhausted, and if we find that we are getting frustrated, and I literally am really honest, because I know with myself, if I don't take care of myself, I literally feel like I want to rip someone's goddamn head off. And if someone says something, it's like, really, today is not a good day to do this because this will not end well for you. And that's a very big indication of taking that responsibility back and saying, hey, you know that these things are going on and you're choosing not to take care of yourself. These things are being reflected to just show you just how twitchy you are at the moment. So take a step back, own your shit, use your bank of tools that you have and take care of yourself at this time. So that's why I like to try and give an array of things that come up, because a lot of people don't like to talk about these things, or they talk about it like it's fluff, and I like to have no fluff, no BS, and just get straight to the point and be honest about some of these things. And it's okay that there are some moments, I don't care how spiritually evolved you are still a human, and some stuff will still annoy the crap out of you. Life is not all full of peace, love, and mung beans, and it's unrealistic to think that we can be this beautiful, amazing being where nothing ever bothers us. Yeah, we'll get real. That doesn't happen. But the importance is to remember that there is a responsibility that at this time is not about blaming someone else for triggering you, or exploding and then moving into that space of guilt. This is the moment for me, it's always been the moment we have knowledge about something, life becomes about choices. If you don't know what's happening, then we move into reaction. So one thing I want to say to all you people, now you've sat and you've listened to this conversation today, if you move into a space where you're reactive, you're not taking ownership and responsibility for yourself. And this is super, super important. Yes, please, I would value your advice. No worries. So with someone that is experiencing a spiritual flu, I would first question what their internal dialogue is like. I would say they've moved into a space, and I would say this woman is working more predominantly from a masculine role model. Push shit, force, make shit happen, and also blame. It's always someone else's fault. So I would address, because the spiritual flu she's become so exhausted, and that all starts with that internal dialogue. So what I would address, what is actually going on for her at a core level, and resolve that. I would say there is also a massive disturbance, as in she's always probably has a component where she's there for everyone else and no one's there to support her, where at this point what is actually probably at a core level wanting to come to the surface is a feminine goddess nurturing type of energy that is really trying to come to the forefront, but she's resisting that transition. So I would have a look at what is her ideas, thoughts around femininity. I know for myself, this was something I had to work really, really hard with. My identity with femininity was, the women of the 50s that stayed at home and cooked and baked and came across as weak and needed a man in their life. And I didn't want anything to do with that, but those were my old ideals, and I've since done a lot of work, because there are some freaking amazing women out there that have shown us women today that we can execute both a constructive and productive masculine aspect within ourselves, but we can also use an incredibly strong feminine part of ourselves, and together that is where the mesh is. So I would say with your particular person at this time, Rebecca, is that this person has a massive disturbance between masculine and feminine, and it is the feminine that is wanting to come through, but she is completely pushing it away, and that's why she's getting laid on her ass at this point. And I know you are a really gentle but strong person, so you being able to go in there and help her at this point, she actually really needs a soft, gentle, nurturing approach, but that is firm and assertive, to break through those walls, because the moment you get too close, I would say this person would put their walls up big time. So it's a matter of working through that. I would say her skin receptors will be massive, so sensitivity to touch. So I would have this kind of conversation, either holding her hand or stroking her skin or something like that, because that also breaks through the walls. So they would be the kind of places that I would start with her, is looking at what is going on with her on an internal level, and why is she resisting the process of allowing this femininity aspect within her to come through. We'll do femininity, yes. Walls, trust issues, skin, terrible rashes. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for sharing that. Terrible rashes will be, they are an indication of really, really, really buried deep anger. Okay. So, that's where the blame comes, because it's always someone else's fault. Whereas she needs to be okay, and she needs to learn to forgive herself. She needs to be okay that she is angry, and let herself address the anger in a constructive manner, and also learn to go in and forgive herself, which is that feminine attribute. Most women are not very good at forgiving themselves. So anger, yes, and I believe grief. Yeah, well, anger is a part of grief, love. So those would be the kind of places that I would explore, and just see where it goes from there, love. And I think you will always have an indication if they are moving through that process very quickly, because all of a sudden within 24 hours they go into an absolute massive fever, sweat like an animal, almost as if they're having a night sweat. And the next day, providing they drink plenty of water. And for this person, I would definitely suggest salty water, 1/4 teaspoon of Celtic sea salt in a 1 litre bottle of water. The reason we need salt is because salt is what allows the communication between cells to be increased. So when we're dehydrated, the communication between cells is really, really sluggish, and it makes the process very long and arduous. When we add salt to our water, or anyone that's experienced dehydration at the moment, which as you can see, because I'm going like this, I am myself, you'll know if you're dehydrated. Another thing is that when you're talking, your mouth fills up with a lot of saliva. So I do this my own self. It's something I've done for a very long time. Quarter of a teaspoon in water. What that does is it instantly replenishes the cells, and our cells communicate through nerves. So the conduction between the nerves gets stronger, and therefore the information from one cell to the other can pass through very, very quickly, which means we can move through that ascension process much, much more quicker. And it's not as physically and mentally, emotionally exhausting on your physical body. And this is where it's really important to nurture ourselves at this time. And that is why I always say, always ask the question to yourself, what is it that I need right now? And your soul will tell you. And then it's that responsibility factor of then giving to yourself what it is that you need. So I really hope that this has given all of the people that are watching this an opportunity to be able to understand what is going on. Because remember, when we understand, we can make different choices. And this is where we become empowered through the choices that we have. So it's really important, you know, if you feel like this is something that you need to be able to share with other people, please feel free to share this. And if you would like to be able to understand more about the ascension process and how to develop your spiritual or intuitive gifts, you'll find a link at the top where you will be able to go in and book a time to jump on a call with me and learn more and see how I may be able to help you. So be gentle, be kind, take care of yourself through this. Become your own beautiful cheer squad that is nurturing to yourself. The more you resist, the more it will persist. So this is where it's incredibly mindful to also have that awareness that even though you're aware of this, other people in your world, i.e. partners, children, friends, they may not have this awareness. So the information you've learned today, this is how where we share one thing can create massive change. The information you've learned today, you can then share it with someone else. That can help change what's going on for them. And being able to understand that each person is going to experience it differently, and some people don't have the knowledge that you have just attained from today. So they will be reactive, they will be responsive, they will be cranky, and they'll be gnarly. That's the moment to be like, you know, you don't need to engage. Okay, so please take care as you go through this. But again, number one, remember each one of these symptoms is sharing with you that you have done some amazing, amazing work. And your body is now, your mind, body, and soul, your mind, body, and spirit are now evolving to match the level of your soul. So give yourself permission to congratulate yourself. This is not an easy journey. We don't always acknowledge the internal hard work that we're doing, but this is a moment that to be able to recognize that. So oh no, Sarah, the replay will be up in just a moment, sweetie. My pleasure, Nikki. I'm so pleased, and it's wonderful to have you on, Diane, Sarah, Tracy, Rebecca. If anyone has any questions or they want to jump on a call with me, please feel free to jump on the link. But otherwise, take care, be kind with yourself, and give to yourself what you need. Much love to you all, and I'd love for you to share this. Take care, guys.